Look good?
Yeah, well,
You look great. So there you go.
thanks. Just making sure it's public. We're good.
Awesome. So
Yeah.
welcome everyone. I'm really grateful to be here again with Sophia Traeger. My name is Sean Patrick Mayer, and we're doing our weekly show. And today we are talking about a fairly edgy subject, I think, a difficult subject for a lot of people, and that is how to exit a dying relationship. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think I would sure guess in this is difficult. It can be really difficult to understand what that even means. How do we know? How do we move through that? How do we do that grace? Still
Mm,
care about not hurting them. So there's just so much around this. I know when we started talking about doing this one that there's a lot around it for us too, and we've been through a lot of these experiences as well.
hmm Yeah. And
Hearing about this.
yeah, absolutely. Um, yeah, when Sean and I were talking about it, and we were talking about what subject do we want to talk about, and when this came up, both of us just contracted. We're like, like we wanted to throw up, seriously.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
um it's important, especially because there's been a lot coming up in the lives of my clients where they are questioning um, the people in their life, former partners in their life, and what to do about it. And let me just say that it is perfectly okay to want to be loved and want to feel connected and have touch and all the yumminess that comes with a relationship, of course. So it's sort of this like, child versus adult really experience of, the child wants all this yumminess, right? But the adult knows with the ego and the cognition that this relationship is done. It's on its way out.
Mm. Yeah, and then and I hear that, and I think a lot of people knowing that things are done. But do you have any more insight into like how might a person know that their relationship is dying? Like, what might be some of the symbols or some of the experiences that they might see? Uh,
Mm. I think this is a little challenging to talk about because I think it looks differently for everyone. And there's this, I feel like I need to sneeze.
I had a momentary desire to try to stop your sneeze, but I thought that would be really mean. So, have you ever
I
done that to anybody? They start to sneeze and you kind of like mess with them until they
don't know
get
how
never
you
done.
do that, but that sneeze was happening.
There was no stopping that.
Um, it looks the way that you know that a relationship is dying looks different for everybody. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention that there's a self-sabotage mechanism that happens where you want to end a relationship, and instead of doing it amicably or kindly, it's much easier to do it in where you start a fight so that you have a reason to end it, even though in your heart you know that it's come to its end. And it could be for a number of reasons. You're just not seeing eye to eye, and nothing that you do is helping you see eye to eye. You're not listening to each other anymore. Therapy isn't working. You are completely on two different paths. And in order to honor yourself, you have to let go of the relationship. Otherwise, somebody's going to have to compromise and not honor themselves. Somebody's going to end up being a pleaser. So the reason for relationships ending totally varies, but the feeling that comes is actually usually a pretty calm feeling that's then followed by fear and anxiety and dread and terror and grief. But the feeling itself, what I've experienced and what I've heard other people say, is that it's a very calm feeling. It's a knowing. And it requires really being in touch with your body, because your body is going to tell you if it's time. For example, the chemistry might be not there. The in love feeling is not there. And even people who are pissed off at each other, that in love feeling still remains. So I want to hear more what you think, Sean.
Yeah, I think I agree. There's a subtle knowing. There's something inside that just tells you that the walk is over. And that's something that's really challenging, especially when you still love a person. Like when you still love them and you care about them and you know that you're not able to meet each other where you need to be met, that potentially, like, we were given a specific time to learn from each other and to be and to grow together and have beautiful love, and that time is now over. And I think for me that's been one of the most challenging pieces. And you talked about like how we tend to like bring up a fight or something, like cause the ruckus, and that's our exit. But I've actually found that one of the most profoundly beautiful and most challenging experiences has been walking away really cleanly from a relationship where I still loved the person, and we had to honor that. And I'm so grateful that I had the opportunity to do that in a really she and I were like the agreement that it was also at the same time one of the biggest challenges, like the confusion of like, I still love this person. Why am I leaving this? Why do I know? Why is there this knowing that I need to walk away from this relationship? And I think that's been one of the biggest challenges. Have you had a similar experience in terms of that?
Definitely. I want to emphasize what you said about one of the ways that you know is the relationship and your partner isn't willing to walk alongside you anymore. And you're not requiring them to. That's their choice. That for where you want to go in your life, they're not willing to support that growth, or you're not willing to support the growth for them. And what I notice is the most painful is attaching to the relationship looking a certain way or feeling a certain way, or attached to your partner not changing or growing ever, unless you grow at the exact same pace in the exact same way. Or there's an unwillingness to grow themselves.
Yeah.
I think it's a really big one, where I know so many women who start to explore themselves sexually, spiritually, and their partners don't want to have anything to do with it.
Yeah, and I'm noticing something that comes up around that too for me is like, I don't know if it's always a lack of willingness. I think there's or
say that again, Sean.
By a person. Is it glitching out on me?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just going to take a moment.
The best word. I couldn't, that's the one that came out of me, but I feel you, like it's not the best word, and I do want to hear what it is for you.
Yeah, it was like more like the ability, like, do they have the capacity to actually support that movement without their own fear of what's happening there getting in the way? and maybe it's not even so like like separated like that. Maybe it's just that they're just in different realms. They're going in different pathways, or they have different values that they're moving along with. So it's like what I noticed in mine is there was a piece of willingness, and like looking back, it's like, oh, we could have probably pushed through, but was that going to really serve us to where we were each going? And I think witnessing what happens after a good, clean departure and where lives change and evolve is a good testament to like, was that a positive thing for both parties? And oftentimes when you're honoring these truths, I think it turns out to be as such.
Something just came up for me that I think could be the nugget that our audience takes away, hopefully, is when considering a relationship and whether it needs to die or it needs more support, life support, more nurturing, is this relationship for my highest good and for the highest good of the relationship?
Absolutely.
And meditate into that and have conversations about that. Then if you ask that question in curiosity, then it's easier to get away from the ego desire of, no, I'm going to hold on to this no matter what, and I'm going to do everything it takes, and I'm going to be in this for 25 years no matter what.
Yeah, that sparked like this awareness of like really wanting to ask yourself, where am I choosing this out of love or fear? And I think, and it can be a little confusing at times, to know which one is which, but really sinking in, it's like, if I really love this person, if I really love myself, and I know that we no longer serve each other, then I'm only staying because I'm afraid of being alone or losing, or like, what if I don't find something better? What if this is my last opportunity for this kind of love?
Exactly.
And that's a fear-based decision. And so it's really important to like be clear with yourself. And I think that's what I'm really distilling this down to as well, especially in terms of like, how do we know it's dying? It's like when you get quiet with yourself and you become connected to what's happening inside your heart, all you have to do is ask, like, be still, ask your heart, ask your body, and the answers come. And it's like, it's one of the most incredibly intuitive, wise, our bodies are these amazing mechanisms, and all we have to do is show up and ask.
It's so true.
But then we have to be willing to accept the answer that comes to us.
Exactly. We have to listen. And it's not always what we want to, the ego doesn't want to hear it usually, right? And what you and I had spoken about before we got on was, it's a selfless, or maybe you did speak about it, I don't even know. It's a selfless act. Like, if I think about, no matter how much I want this relationship, if I know that my partner can have a better experience that's for his highest good with someone else who will honor him better than I can, I need to let it go, because I'm honoring myself too. I ask myself the same question: is there somebody out there who can support me and honor me in the way that I need to be honored? And it's both, like, thinking about him and thinking about myself.
Yeah. I've been really liking reclaiming the terminology of self-centeredness. The idea of self-centered in our culture is like, has a negative connotation. But actually, if you're centered in yourself, really like grounded and centered in yourself, then you can really show up for others, and you can really be clear on what your needs.
Yeah, I like that. Being
Self-centered. But not in term, but I think that like the more we are, it's like the more we can actually show up. So yeah, reclaiming that. I want that one back. Self-centered is ours for the positive self-centered.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's reclaim that.
Yeah. And
And
in doing so,
selfness or whatever.
exactly.
Let's reclaim that. And everyone, we just, we really, the nugget is to continuously connect with yourself and ask, how can I honor myself and my partner in this? Is it to end this relationship, or is it to continue to expand and to face what's ugly or what's scary, That's really it. And then, yeah, I think that covers it. Because
Yeah.
there's so many different stages and process to when you're already not in a relationship and how to honor that. But in terms of exiting, I think that's a good start.
Yeah. Which is more or less just being willing to honor that it's time to exit and I think what you started with is really something to restate, and that is how we often create a complication, create a fight, create something. We need a mechanism to get us out of the relationship. But I think as we really show up more authentically, more in integrity, that we have more of the opportunity to sit down with a person that we feel like it's coming to completion with and just honor what it has been, and not have to, doesn't have to be a fight. It can be on. And I'm not saying that every person is always
say it again.
That it's just time, like coming to an agreement, coming together and just saying it's time for this to come to completion. And it's not always going to be necessarily met immediately. But I think what I'm noticing mostly is like how we show up in conflict is usually going to influence a lot of how it comes back to us. So when I show up really grounded and centered, or better yet, when I show up really off poorly, but when I show up,
I'm sorry again.
Okay, you don't have to apologize. It's not your internet provider. But when I show up ungrounded and unstable, and I bring information or a perspective in that energy, it's going to set my partner or the recipient of that in a very unstable, unsafe space. So they're going to respond from that space. But if I can show up grounded, clear, and centered and express what's happening for me, then that person will meet me there and they'll join me in that conversation, and we can make an agreement, and we can reshape what it looks like to enter and exit, specifically in this case, exit relationships when it's time, and do that and still love each other and still support each other through the exit, which is another amazing, amazing piece.
Yeah. And I truly believe we all crave that. And we might make it sound easy, but it's not easy. Sean and I have practiced and continue to practice, for a long time. And it takes a commitment to self-awareness, self-honoring. It takes a commitment. Like, you marry yourself. This is something that's been coming up. You marry yourself first. And so we're here to support that, right? Mm-hmm. That's why we're here. We each take our clients through, helping through this process, because it's not easy.
Yeah.
Not easy.
Yeah. I really like that. You marry yourself first. And that's, the relationships start with relationship to self.
Yeah. Yeah.
A piece. And the more we can show up for ourselves, and the more we can show up for others, and then the more we can allow them to show up for us as well.
Yeah.
But it is really the root of it all.
Yeah. I was just telling a client this morning that she wants all of this outside of her. And I said, you need to hold space for your emotional self, for all the emotions that you're experiencing. Because she has a track record of attracting emotionally unavailable men. And I said, how available are you to your emotions? And that was like, that stopped her in her track. I said, I don't think you're holding space for your own emotions, and you want somebody else to do that for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you have to do that for yourself first.
Yeah. Yeah. This whole realm is definitely sensitive. I feel like I think a lot of people have that a lot of trauma is created through these kind of experiences too. And I know that your work with the pleaser role, I imagine you see this a lot, where there's a sense of not wanting to rock the boat or hurt some.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely.
It's a big challenge.
It is. And we're here for you. That's why we're here. So please ask us questions. You can message us privately. You can put a question in the comments. We want to know what you're thinking, what you're struggling with. Even if it's like one situation or it's a broad kind of thing, that's what we want to address. And that's what we're expanding too. Like Sean and I have our things too, and we're expanding as well. And yeah, so let us know. And we're going to leave our information for you in the post as well, how to get in contact with us. And Sean's offering a great session for men, and I'm offering a free guide for women.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that too, because that is something for me, like the curiosity. I really want to hear about others' experiences. I want to understand. I want to know. And that's why I'm on this mission, is to learn about where are the complications and where are the struggles, and I guess to let everybody know that you're not alone in these experiences and that there is support available to you. And we're happy to be that support for you if that would be helpful. So we really appreciate you all being here with us or watching this whenever you maybe do. And we'll be back every week on Friday.
Yep. Thank you all so much for being here. Mwah.
See y'all next time.